On page 59 of a book called Lamed Vav, a collection of the favorite stories of Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach, there's a story about the three bakers, and it goes like this. There was once a holy rabbi named the Apter Rav, and he had a son named Yitzchak Meir. And Yitzchak Meir studied Torah all day, and he didn't work. So his father, Avraham Yehoshua Heschel, gave him 2 rubles per week. Well, one day the father decided to stop supporting his son, and the son didn't know what to do. He didn't have a profession. All he did was study Torah all the time. So he had one of the great Rav's students go to him and ask him why he stopped supporting his son. So the rabbi said that it was time for him to start supporting himself. And since all he does is study Torah, that what he should do is leave Poland and go to Italy, buy some etrogim, and then travel to Germany and sell the etrogim, and with the profit that he makes, he could live off of that money. So the student conveyed this message to the holy rabbi's son, and the son had no choice but to accept it. So he did as his father had told him to do. He bought etrogim, he went to Italy, and he sold them in Germany, and indeed he did make a very nice profit, and he lived off of that. But he was in a hurry to get back home for the Sukkot holiday. Unfortunately, the rain was so severe that year that there were floods and literally like rivers of mud down the street, and there was no way that any carriage could make the journey. So day after day passed, and slowly but surely it was becoming the Sukkot holiday, and he didn't know anybody in Germany, and he was really upset that he had no place to go for the holiday. So he went into a synagogue, and the davening, the prayer, only took a couple minutes, unlike their custom, which was to sing with your heart and soul, and meditatively it takes much longer. After the services were over, he sat in the back of the shul, and he was reminiscing about what he was missing back home. So by the time he opened his eyes, he realized everybody had left the shul, and it was too late. Now he had no sukkah to go to for the holiday. So then, all of a sudden, somebody walks in, and he goes to the front of the shul, and he starts praying, but his prayers are completely wrong. All of the words are in the wrong order, and Reb Meir could barely just keep from laughing. So he thought, well, at least this guy is cheering me up. So as luck would have it, this person ended up inviting him to his sukkah, but he was a very poor guy, and the sukkah was on the top of the roof of his house, and the sukkah was barely standing because it was so windy that the gusts of wind were practically knocking it down. So now before they ate, there's a custom to say a blessing inviting the 7 holy shepherds, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Aaron, Joseph, and King David, into the sukkah. And he can barely say the prayer. So he brought out wine, a little challah, and some fish, and all the Reb Meir could do was think about how great it would have been to be home with the holy rabbis and scholars, and instead of being in this run-down, dilapidated sukkah with this dusty guy that he looked like a baker. He was filled with flour. So he made kiddush, and then a guest came in, and he turned to Rebbe Meir and he said, I want you to meet my friend, Abraham the baker. And he didn't pay attention. He was just still imagining that he was back home. And the same thing happened the next night, and when the dusty baker came to make kiddush, another guest came, also another baker filled with dust, and he said, I want you to meet my friend Isaac. And still, he was there just physically, but mentally he was already checked out. And finally, on the third night, he was even more thinking about home, and he said, I want this The baker finally said to him, I want you to meet my friend Yaakov. And so he just couldn't wait for the next morning so that he can get into the wagon and get home. So finally, when he got home, something that was very special that happened with very big tzaddikim is the minute that the Rebbe gave you his hand, suddenly your eyes, your heart, and your mind were opened, and you saw and understood everything. When the holy Apter Rav saw his son, he was overjoyed that he had finally come home. And he gave him his hand, and with a smile he said, so, Yitzchak Meir, what do you think about Germany now? And his son, all of a sudden, was back on the rooftop in Leipzig, in the broken down sukkah with the wind blowing in, and suddenly he saw the three guests, the three schleppers covered with flour. He saw them with new eyes. Oh my gosh. Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the three holy fathers themselves, Gewalt. He didn't recognize that these were mamish, the forefathers. So then the Apter Rav said to his son, you see, Yitzchak Meir, it is possible to sit mamish in the place of utmost holiness and not even be there. So I wish for us all to be present in every situation, to be fully there, to be fully engaged, and to recognize the revealed goodness, the revealed holiness, the blessing that is right before us, whether it is hidden or whether it is revealed. Let us see it in clear eyes. Amen.